Hey, Fitzy here, back at it again with another one. We're back on the 49 Chev. On this one here, we're going to make the mustache mounts. We're going to mount the mustache, and we're also going to mount the grill. All this is permanently mounted in the car. Also, I got this simple little tool that I made that's going to help measure that so it's all perfectly centered. Stick around. So we're back on the 49 Chev. In the last video, I made up all these sections here using the cutting bolt, welded them all in, got them all done. Now I got to set this all up now to start mounting everything. I'm going to work on getting the eyebrow mounted first, get that made up, get that all welded up and finished, so that can be bolted on. But the first thing I'm going to do here now is I'm going to jack this up, give it on a couple of stands, get it up at a nice working height. I know where everything is going now, roughly. I'm going to start from the eyebrow and work my way down and get everything mounted, but it'd be nice to have it up. So I'm going to jack this up down, get it on stands, and then we'll get started on getting that nose mounted. There you go, that's a much better height to work at. I'm over here now, and I got some, I measured this up, see the thickness of it. This is like 16 gauge, so I went and hunting, and I found some more 16 gauge that I got here. What I got to do now is I got to make two little brackets. My plan is on the back side here, you look at this, I'm going to run a lip off of this here that I can bolt onto from along this edge here, okay? That's where it's going to bolt on from. And I just got to weld something onto it so I can actually have it bolt onto. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it on this here, roughly mark out a couple of spots on this here, trim it up, and then I'm going to go over and mount this on the car so I can actually, I'm not going to worry about making this fit this perfect, okay? Because I need to know the angles, and I want to have the distance off the car where it's supposed to be, because there's some gaps here on this side here that I got to fill in. So I got to make sure that I got this here flush on the body. So I'm not going to just weld this onto here and then go over and fit it to the car, because there's going to be problems. I'm going to go over and trim it up so that I got room that I can weld this onto it. And this here is going to be permanently mounted on the car, temporarily mounted on the car, so I can actually get it all welded up. So I'm going to go ahead now, I'm just going to mark that roughly with a marker. I'm going to turn this one around here now. I think I'm going to mark the other side and get that cut out. So I got two pieces of metal to mount on the car. Getting fancy with this. I went and marked this line here, okay? And then I marked this line here, okay? And then I just come in a couple of inches, roughly drew a line there. I went out past it, about a ½ inch. Of course, it runs out of it up here. That's no big deal. And same with over here, come out past it and left a little bit of leeway. I want to do that because I want to leave room that I can actually fit this on the car. I don't want to worry about trying to weld it right to an edge. I'm going to weld it to right to this piece of metal here, and then I'm going to trim it up when I get it all fitting on the car. But I got to make sure I got the angle and everything right here and the distance right all the way along. So I'm just going to go roughly cut two of these pieces out now and have them made up so I can mount them on the car. So I got two of them cut out, and I cleaned up the top side of them. Never worry about the inside, because I'm going to be grinding that after, because that's the side that's going to be mounted like so, and I'll be able to grind that after the fact, but I'm not going to be able to grind that once it's welded on. I never got carried away with trying to make these perfect, okay? The best way to make these perfect is to have them welded to this here and then trim everything to fit that there, and that way your gaps are all right. You could sit down and try to make templates for all this here and lay it up there and have it fitting perfect and have it so it's shaped to that there, mint and all. No, don't worry about that. Just take this here now and overlap that like that and weld it on. That's the extent of that, and then shape that there after the fact. Don't be too concerned about trying to make that all perfect so it all well. When I got a bit of material there to weld to, I know for a fact then I can actually get a nice gap there, and if I got a gap to fill in here, I can actually fill it in with some coat hanger or something like that if I got to fill it in, right? And I can get all the shapes properly. I got that done, and then what I did, I went over on the car and I marked the car. I fit the panel on the car and I ran a marker along it, so I got a rough idea. Now it don't matter if it's torqued this way or that way, or as long as it's centered this way here, I'm fine. I don't mind if it's turned a little bit, because this is going to bolt on and I can adjust it to the height and all that type of stuff after the fact. And I've also noticed if I want to lower this down, it's all the same down through it. So as long as I'm on that plane there, if I want to lower the nose down a bit, I can after the fact, right? So now that I got that marked, I'm going to take the two pieces of metal that I got over there now and clamp them so that they're overlapping here all the way around here. so I can lay that nose cone on and start welding it on. So I went ahead and I got it clamped in place over here. I trimmed it up a bit so it fit nicer and got it lined up in certain spots by that mark there. Not concerned about making it perfect where it's got to go because I can move it up and down as long as it's centered, okay? I was going to clamp it on with just voice grips here, but I'm sizing up. I'm running into some troubles over here trying to get this here to stay in tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this in place here now, and I'll weld this right onto the body of the car right here now. I'll weld it on there so that's permanent, so that when I fits the other piece on there, that's it. And later on, then I'll just cut it clear, okay? So I'm going to go ahead now and get this welded on. I got it all welded on. I'm happy where it's to there now. I'm going to turn around and grind all this off here now because I welded all this on the inside because I'm not going to be able to weld that after. And I don't know exactly where it's to, so I'm going to grind all this flush now so I got a nice smooth transition there. And we start fitting the other piece on. So there you have it. I got that tack welded on there now. Onto the piece of metal. Nothing fancy. It's pretty crude looking. Okay? I go over here the way it's done. I got lots of lip in here. It's always matter to me. I only wants like an inch or so on the inside of it. You can see up here now I got a gap I got to fill in here. Over to about here, and then from there on in it's pretty good all the way down through there. That's just where I made the wrong cut because this here has a curved shape to it and I cut it along a curved shape and I should have cut a straight line on it, but I never. But that's nothing, I can fix that. So what I got to do here now is I got to go down and start welding this on here, and I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to solid weld this here right where it's to, because I'm going to have to grind and cut this, and most of this is going to have to go anyway because then I'm going to have to weld it on the inside. Nope, I think I'm going to tack weld it about every inch or so and then take it off and weld it on the inside, and then I can grind the outside flush and weld it up. That's what I'm going to do. So I'll get this tack welded on there now. So I went ahead and I got them all tacked on there. That looks right professional, right along there, best kind. Then you get over here and it's like, oh my God, what happened? Lovely coat hanger in there, people. That's it. Fix the problem. So I got that all tack welded together there now. I'm going to cut this clear, take it off over on a bench and weld it all up on the inside. Cut all this off out here on the outside edge and grind that all flush so I can check and start welding all the outside as well. So let's get this taken off. And here it is over on the bench. See how crudely I put that on it? Wasn't too fussy with it. This is the way it is on the inside. You see there's lots of meat there for me to trim off after the fact. Up on there. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to weld this all on the inside here. Get that all welded up. Same way on this side here, get it all welded up. And that way I can go back here and trim all this off and get that all there set up so I can actually put a nice edge on there. So here's where I'm to. I went ahead, you saw me, I welded on the inside. I tack welded every inch. Then I turned around, I went back and I welded an inch, skipped an inch, welded an inch, skipped an inch. That's what I did. And I let it cool down actually. I didn't cool it off or nothing. And then when it cooled down, I went back and welded in between it again. Once I got that done, I come out here and I cut off the excess that was out here. I cut everything out of the way. Then I turned around and I grinded it all flat. You can see it here now the way it is. And I went over and done a test fit on it. I'm happy with the test fit. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here now and I'll come back and re-weld this here and grind this here and get a nice dressed edge on here. So that'll be finished. Same with down the front here. I welded all this up on the inside and I'm going to weld that up now and dress up the center of that. That's supposed to come to a little bit of a peak. So I'm going to go ahead now, get all this welded up and get it all grinded up. So, this is what you saw me doing there. I turned around in and I grinded that flat here with a 24 grit cutting pad, and then I grinded here flat with a 24 grinding pad. Then when I turn around it, then any spots I didn't like, I turn around and I touched them up and then regrinded them again. Now I did something that I usually don't do on this channel, and that's I actually took it down to a finer paper. What I did then is I went over it all with some 80 grit on a flat wheel. Me with a flat wheel, look at that. But I wanted to finish it down a little bit more because this is something that I'm looking at the whole point. Possibly, if he wanted to, he can probably get it chromed, right? And you look at that there now. This got to be finished off a bit tighter than that, but it's pretty close, right? You can file that. I figured this is going to have to be filed, but like I was trying to finish this like you would bodywork, okay? You see the way I was sanding it. I was taking long like this, and I can actually see the low spots when I did that because I kept the same pressure on the grinders, and as I moved them across, I never changed my angle of my grinder. I just kept it flat and just kept it moving it back and forth like this here, and you could actually pick up your low spots because the section of the grinder is flat and the section of the grinder is flat here, okay? So as you kept moving it, you turn around, you can actually pick up on the low spots, okay? Because, see if I can find one there. It's a low spot right there. You see the little low spot right there, right? So that would have to be reworked again, okay? But the rest of it coming down to the front there is pretty good, see? And over here, the same thing again, right? You can see when you're moving into the light. You can take that right down and finish that right off with some 100 and whatnot, but that's as far as I'm going to take it for now until we decide what we're going to do with it, because I can spend hours on this and bring all that up and polish that and do everything with it if I wanted to. But what I do now is back here on the back side, I got this distance here. And I'm going to keep that distance here. I'm going to get a scribe now. I'm going to scribe this here, right along here, and just make a nice even lip all the way around there. So let's get that done. So there it is. All I did is I just clamped it on with a couple pairs of vice grips. You can see that's got a nice gap, got a nice rolled edge on it. It's got a nice dressed edge all the way along there. It's a couple of spots I can see here, which is the metal work. That's the low spots there. But you remember, I'm planning on filling this car, so all that will be picked up. It's very, very minute. There's another one right here. I don't mind pointing that stuff out because I'm human, okay? You can stand here. Another low spot right there. Nothing serious. Don't go overthink that stuff like that, okay? That is really good. If you're looking to do body work and everything on it. It's nice. I could sit down and spend hours straightening that up and dollying that, and I'm not worried about it, okay? That's something that is within tolerances of what I feel is well enough for doing body work, okay? But you can see now the way it all fits across the front here, the nice finish on it. All that is just welded to them together. You can still see the chroming process right here and here. And all this is just all made up along here, okay? Now that flange that I got there that you saw me trimming off there, what I'll end up doing here is I'll take a marker here. When I find out, I don't know where this is going to go yet. It's going to be higher, it could be lower, I don't know. But when I figures out where it's going to go, I'll mark this here, okay? And I'll know then what I'll do is I'll come back here and I'll drill a few holes in the body, like you would. Then I'll clamp this back in place again and mark it from the back side on this here. I'll drill holes in this panel here then, put a bolt through this side here, or a nut, whichever, doesn't matter, and I'll weld it on. I'll probably put a stud on it so I can just lay this up in place and put it, and I'll reach in over or in underneath and then tighten it up that way, right? And then this will be a unit that will bolt on. But that's pretty well the process. You can really finish this down. Now strip all this off here, finish all this right down, and you wanted to, like I probably had to file this some with a hand file, and just to make sure that it's all nice and flat, and get all that. Like right here, I probably had to work this nose a small bit here in the front, just so that it's uniform, to make sure that it's not got this thing going on, right? But when you're looking up across, you can still see it when I move. You can see the way it changes, right? So it'd be something just to file it out. I just finished everything with a grinder, roughly, and that's it. That's where I'm to with this now. Now that I got this all done, what I got to do now is I got to figure out the grill. I got to mount the grill. So here now, I got the bumper taken out and laid up here, and I got the grill laid on top of it. What I got to do is I got to make sure the grill has got the right tweak in it, and then it lines up and along here. Here on the back side, you can see where I split it in the middle, right here, and I got to weld that there so it holds together, and same with up here as well. So I got to make sure that's in the right position there now, and take it over and put a tack weld on that there. Then I can take it off, make sure everything's good, and then I can weld all it up, so that way I know it's going to hold that shape there that I want. So I got it all welded up in here. What I got done, you can see these holes are here now. What I'm going to do, I'm going to mount this on the front of the bumper here. I'm going to mount it on that there, mark the holes and drill holes, so I can actually bolt this to the bumper itself. Also, up here I got this little lip. I think that's going to be a waste of, I'm not going to really need it. So I'm going to go back and trim all this off and dolly all this here so it's a nice straight edge to go along here before I bolt it onto the front of it. Have that done, so that way I can fit the bumper on the front of the car and find out the location for this grill. So I went ahead and I trimmed off all this upper lip and I dialed it up, so I got a nice straight lip going along there now, nice edge going along there, nice and dressed. Then I turned around and I marked the bumper itself, and I drilled 5 holes in it and found just 5 random bolts that I got kicking around here, temporary ones. I'm going to bolt it on, so that's now permanently part of the grill. What I got to do here now is I've been sizing up how I'm going to do this. I'm going to have to take this back down again now, take it off the stands, and set this up on the blocks again, make sure that the distance and everything's the same, everything's centered and all that type of stuff, and then figure out how I'm going to start mounting this grill. Well, that's where I've been for the last hour. I've been here now, got this put down, I got everything maneuvered around, I had to level up the car. I'm basing everything off these 2 headlight pots. They're non-molested, and I got the factory pieces there, so I'm measuring off the floor here, the floor out here. Then I'm measuring off the front of the headlight to the bumper, front of the headlight to the bumper. Then I'm just centering up the grill here, measuring it all up, taking a bunch of measurements from here and eyeballing it here and taking a bunch of measurements here, okay? I got all this done, played around with the heights of the bumper, where I was going to put it to, and this is where I'm happy with it, okay? As you can see, the grill doesn't touch the actual body right now. I've, after tweaking this and bending it and dollying it and doing everything with that strip there, getting that so it's all uniform from side to side, tweaking these teeth, trying to get them all so they're just sitting so, and playing around with how I'm going to set this up to mount this. I turned around then and roughly put the eyebrow on it. There's roughly where the eyebrow is going to go, going along here. Now the eyebrow got a lip on it, okay? It comes down to here. I want this to come up as well. I want this to bolt down here as well. So I'm playing around with some ideas. I could probably trim back some of the lip on the eyebrow itself. I was like, you know, because it's got a curved shape to it, the problem I got is trying to curve it this way, and then it's got a very slight curve going this way. So my best bet is just do it the way I always does it, is to make one piece here, weld it on, make another piece here, weld it on, and ground dress it all. What I'm going to do is just going to get, I think about a 1/2 inch strips now, and this seems to be about 1/4 of an inch here all the way along here. And I'm going to cut off some strips that I can go to about here somewhere, because this gets wider on the ends. It starts to widen up here. The Buick was different than in the way it was shaped in the front. So I'll put a couple of strips along there, tack weld them on, then I'll put strips in along here, strip along here, tack weld it on, so that I can actually lay it up flush against it. So I got somewhere to bolt them. I'll trim it all up after, right? So I'm going to get strips now cut out and get mounted on it. Doesn't that look lovely? Every time I build stuff like this here, you can get foolish with this here. We want roughly about an inch going up here. You can make little strips of metal and try to put them in there and fit them in there. I like working with large pieces of metal like this here because it's got less chance of it warping when you're welding together. Little narrow pieces, the heat travels right through it and it'll all warp up. All I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here now, weld all this up in here, grind and dress it, finish it off. I'll come back in here and I'll take probably an inch or so and I'll trim that right off along there, so it'll give me a nice uniform shape going along there that I can actually mount to this here. Plan is I'm just going to drill holes in it for now and put a couple of sheet metal screws in it for now, but I'm probably going to drill it out, put nuts and bolts in it, maybe put a clip or something in it. It'll be set up in such a way that it'll either take it'll be a stud coming off the back of this, or it'll be a clip on it, or it'll be a bolt welded on this here and you come in from the inside and tighten it up that way, one or the other. I'll find a way that it won't be just like nuts and bolts holding it all together, right? But you get the idea. This is pretty complicated, but then again, I tried to make it as simple as possible. I just ran them, like I could have went in and made shapes to try to curve this. Well, you know, don't worry about that. Just make the end piece, trim it off, weld it on. Long strip is half straight there, weld it on there. I'll have to trim all that off on the inside and everything now after the fact. But as you can see now, I got a nice flat uniform lip going across there that when I push back on it is going to lay up tight against the body of the car, and I can mount it in through here. So I'm going to take this off now and get this all welded up and trimmed up, and when you see it next, it'll be perfect. There it is. As you can see now, that looks like, meh, that's not a whole bunch of pieces all scabbed together. All I did is I welded it in through here, okay? And I grinded it off, and then I flipped around the back side. And I did the same thing in here. I welded it in through here. And I gave that a quick grind. Never got too carried away with it. I never bothered to weld both sides because I had good penetration. Out here, you can see, and I got all this here to deal with as well, all this nickel and everything. So I didn't want to go getting too much involved in that. And all this is going to have to be removed and polished anyway. But you can see now I got a nice lip going all the way along there now. I can actually mount to. This lip here, all this is 16 gauge metal, okay? It's a lot harder to work with. It's a lot thicker, but I wanted a heavier steel on the grill itself, so it was nice and strong. So I went ahead and got some 16 gauge. It's pretty thick, right? Pretty thick stuff, right? It's this stuff here. I've had abundance of that kicking around for years. It's hard to use it for anything other than brackets. So, anyway, I got that all trimmed up, all grinded off, trimmed off. I left a little lip on it. So, let's go over now, bolt this all back together, and see if we can get it mounted on the car. So, I'm here now, before I put this all together, and what I need to do, I need to draw some sort of reference lines over here. Something to give me distances, so when I start squaring all this stuff up, I got something to go from, okay? What I got done here now, I got the straight edge put across here now. It's a piece of angled bracket. It was nice and straight. And I lined it up at the bottom of the headlight there and the bottom of the headlight there. All that's crucial because that's the points that we got by. After verifying that these headlights are parallel to the main body shell like that. So all that's good. So what I did is I clamped them on there, made sure they're in the exact same location on both sides. Then I drew a line on the bottom of it. Okay? That's my first reference line. Then I mounted a square on over the headlight, and I got 2 points on the headlight, the outer edges on both sides here, one here and one here that I'm happy with that I can physically see. Then I took a level and made sure that the top of this was level, okay, like so. And then what I did, I drew a line down here, right there. So now I got a point there and a point there that I can measure everything off of. I got a vertical line and a horizontal line, so I got my distances from side to side, and I got my heights on everything that I got to put in there. So they will be reference marks now that I can go off of. I got 2 straight edges to go off of. Okay, the next little measuring device I'm going to make up here now is just something I want to have. Instead of having a measuring tape measuring a bunch of things at all at one time, I want something that I can just put in place and give me an idea where it's to. What I got done here is I got a piece of steel I cut out. It could be any size at all. It just so happens I found a piece and I could get this size out of it. So I said, okay, that's the size I'll go with. It's 5 inches by 5 inches, okay? And what I got done is I got every ½ inch. You can get that marked on that. Every ½ inch on that is marked and got a slot cut in it. And on this side here, every ½ inch got a slot cut in it. So you got access to it from both sides of the piece of steel, see? So that way you can do here and do a measurement and go over this side here and do a measurement, and you're using the same sides instead of like going here and then going over here and measuring it this way here. You're actually flipping it over, so you're using the same measuring devices, okay? Now right here, you remember I made that reference line. So here I got the corner of the grill. So now I just push that up against that there, and you can see now my reference. Coming from the end, I'm 1, 2, 3, and about 1/8 of an inch, okay? Flip it over on this side here, 1, 2, 3, and a little bit more, about 1/4 of an inch. So now I gotta go that way there, 1/16 of an inch. It's just some simple little thing you can do just for measurements. I'll use this now for on the grill and the heights and all that type of stuff, trying to get measurements of it is here. Instead of having a big old bulky piece of tape, I just got something there just to give me, you know, uniform measurements from left to right. So I'll use this here now to measure it from one side to the other and get this centered up. That way I can go and start mounting all that in place. I'll make sure that my heights are the same, all that type of stuff, and we'll go from there. I got reference points here and here, and I also made a reference point from here that I measured over from here. That will give me my height to the body line here. And I have that duplicated over on this side here. All I did then is I took this here, measured it in here, right where I made the cut, and squared this off on the body. Then I flipped this over this way, came over here to the same measurement. They are the same. Then I turn around and I took the measurement like so, and I eyed it right here on this line here. I flipped it over like so, done the same thing over here, got the same measurement. Then I turned around and laid this across the two of these here, lined it up with that here. You see where my line was to there. Came over here, flipped it over, laid it over here, lined up the way two over here, and my line's the same. That's what I got going on there now. I also measured from here up to the bottom of the light. Okay? The light is what I got everything to measure off of. And it's on the same measurement over here as well. So I had to do it in. So I got that set up there now, right where I'm happy with it. So let's mount it. So now that I got it mounted, all there is just little sheet metal screws. I drilled a 1/8 hole first because you can't, they got a 1/8 bit in the bottom, but it's always tricky trying to get the bloody thing started. So I always drill a 1/8 hole just to get started. I got that mounted. So these will be the reference holes now from here on in to get this to sit straight. What I'm going to do after the fact, I'm going to reinforce the body along there, okay? I'm going to be making a box section that'll go in there, that'll be thicker. There'll be a piece spot welded on around there to go the shape of it. I'll mark this along here, okay? And then I'll turn around and I'll trim off what I don't need in there. And then I'll reinforce the section. I'll find a way to mount them. Either I'll turn around and have it so that they bolts onto this here, either a welded nut or one of them insert nuts, something like that, that you can just come in here and you can bolt it on and it'll be permanently there to be nut on it. It won't be like a nut and a bolt type thing, right? But right now, this is good enough for now, temporary. I can use these holes now to show me where everything's going. That's solid, that's mounted there now. That's where it's to. Now what I got to do now is I got to figure out the eyebrow. I went and rigged up two little temporary tabs. You saw me there, weld them on the edge of them. I want to do that so I can clamp this in place, so I can actually mark it, so I can actually drill holes, okay? So I turned around, I played around with it here. I got it laid in place here, clamped on, and you can see these reference points that I talked about earlier, okay? You see the distance I got from here to the line, the distance I got from here to the line. Very small measurement, easy to see. Over here, same thing. You see the distance I got here, the distance I got here. So I'm pretty close. I got to go that way a smidgen, just a tiny bit, but I'm not too concerned about it. I'll just tap it over when it's done. But you can see now the way this is fitting. What I had to do is, what I noticed is the last two teeth on either side are tipped out. Okay, like all of them are laid back and then it kind of comes out on the ends here. I had to cut the last two teeth, or the last tooth on either side, had to cut them clear on the top. Because he was stuck out too much for this to sit where I wanted to. In order to clear this one here, I had to have a large gap right here in the middle. This had to come up a bunch, and this here was almost up to here somewhere. So I had to play around with that. So what I got done here, and now that I got these clamped in place, I'm going to move it over a small bit and get it perfect so I'm happy with it. I'm going to take a marker, and I'm going to mark this line here, right along here, push that in tight there, mark that along there. Then what I'll do is I'll come in, and just below that, I'll drill 3 holes temporarily for now. On either side, do the same thing over here. Then I'll clamp this back in place again, and go on the inside and mark this panel here so I can drill them out as well. And then I can put a nut and a bolt in it temporarily for now. I might just tack some studs on it for now, just so it's easier to put on. That way I can get it bolted on and centered up and say, yeah, okay, this is done. Because this is getting pretty long here now, and I would like to get all this here, the eyebrow mounted and the grill mounted in this one. So you can see here now, just don't mind this inside one, with this outer mark is the one I just marked. Okay? Then I come in here and I just pick spots. I use these measurements here to mark a point there. So there's going to be one hole there, one there, line that up with that one there. Come over here, put that one just on the edge of that one there. Done the same thing here, and repeat the same process over there. That's temporary for now. That'll be just, I'll probably put more in it later on when I'm gets more involved in it and starts making the brackets, but I want something that I can actually bolt on. So I'm gonna go ahead now and drill all these out to about a 1/4 size hole. So that way then I got a little tiny bit of playroom there, and get ready then so I can actually clamp it back in place again and mark the back side of the eyebrow. Here now, you can see I've dug up some bolts. These are just temporary for now that I got put in here. problem you're having is right here now. You can see two of these. One is pointed this way, one is pointed that way. They're not going to line up in the holes properly. Okay? I just went over and done a quick test down, hoping I can get away with it because I'm just trying to do a temporary fix. But I got to flip these around, put the nuts on the inside now. That's what I'm going to have to do there, and then tighten the back out through this way. And I just say these long bolts are going to be no good to me. I'm going to cut them off in order to put them under. The shorter ones are better. But it's only a temporary fix. I can't get a wrench or nothing up inside there when this is bolted on. This is going to have to be bolted in from inside the car going this way. So I was hoping to be able to just jam nuts on it, but it's not going to work. And like all these here would have to be, like these here would have to be cocked like this a small bit. Like that one there would have to be like so. And that one there would have to be like so for these here to work. And I'm not getting into that, so. Anyway, let's flip these around. I'll put a couple tacks on the inside. So that's all you got done. You can see the couple of spot welds there. Tack welded them on. There's studs there. Now, you hardware police, don't you come out now and start bawling at me for using used stuff, okay? That's every type of thing imaginable. This is temporary, okay? I'm probably going to end up changing these. Might put them Zert fittings or something in it, but I think, no, they won't work because they won't be flushed in. Because I want this to be flush to the body panel. I may have to do this again, but I'm going to replace all this with new hardware. Oh, I haven't got it here now. I have an abundance of this old stuff kicking around. And I find that I don't like using new hardware when I'm doing stuff like this because things are going to change or could possibly change, and then I'm just destroying good hardware. So I just reuse whatever I got around to make it work for the time being. When I'm happy with it, I'll put all new hardware in it. Let's get this bolted on. And there you have it. Nice fit up along there now. It's nice and solid. The grill is solid, right? All that will have to be reinforced in back there now. Now that I know where everything got to go, I got the holes here now. I can go in, I can build like reinforcement plates to go in behind it. I'm gonna put a lip up around here to go in to give it like some more strength along the edge there. The bottom of the grill I would like to mount to the body as well, but I never bothered with nothing like that right yet because I think I may have to put another tooth in here yet. And so I'm going to leave that alone for now so that when it comes time to mount the other tooth, because I'm going to have to make this piece here first, and after I make that piece, then I'm going to work on the tooth, right? But that's basically it there now. There's another step forward with the puzzle. Got it all mounted. I got the eyebrow made. The grill is done. The next one now is going to be the bumper. I'm going to tackle that on the next one. I like to have the bumper so it bolts on as well. And then once that's done, then we can start working on making these eyebrows on the side here. Anyway, I'm going to leave this one here. I hope the tips are good. And until next time.